will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let Spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and pure and free, as I continue walking in this mystery. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am grateful every moment, every day. There may be walls, there may be roadblocks in my way, but I can choose to take a higher path each day. And now I know that what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down. I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am kinder every moment, every day, and I'm more loving every moment, every day. I will surrender every moment, every day.
Good morning and welcome to our 7th day on our journey to the Spring Challenge. Good morning, Sister Ashika.
Good morning, Ishben. How are you?
Good, thank you. So, right with the color yellow to give us that experience of, I don't know, I just feel that it's not something so extroverted, but a deep sense of inner enchantment, but giving you definitely that feeling that, you know, you got everything. So joy for me is, it's like a pleasure beyond the senses that just leaves you feeling content. Like you get to your neutral point, which actually in a way is like a landing point from which you can spring into new heights. So, yep.
So today we're exploring that embedded in joy is balance, and this quality of joy that emerges, but in this case it's about balance emerging the quality, because if it's embedded in it. So balance for most of us is it's a big thing. Creating that sense of stability, and one end to the other end, and always think of that seesaw, which we all enjoyed as a kid. But you know, if you went a bit too hard or whatever, you could land down, go high, and it gives you excitement. And like you said earlier, it's joy is not just it's not an external expression. It's an internal being that's in a state that allows oneself to move ahead. It's a self-motivating, it's an engine that is within the self. So if you're to explore with us today, what is that pivot point that allows us then to sort of stay in balance so we don't go tipsy-topsy during our journey or along our journey?
So I like to think about one is the pivot point because it's just a point. But before you can actually get to that point of stability, there needs to be depth. And so, you know, if I was wanting to hoist a huge flag that expands over a long distance, I need to take my flagpole and really drill it down deep into the ground. And the deeper I kind of embed this flagpole, then it will actually have the power to actually hold a flag, which is going to be flying in the wind, and it's going to do all sorts of things. But because that grounding is so powerful and so deep, that thin flagpole can actually hold and have the strength because it's supported. And so for me, really, this idea of where I can create that balance is that I consciously take steps to make sure that there's an inner core that exists within me, which is absolutely eternal. And no matter what I'm experiencing currently in terms of changes, emotion, any kind of things that I might think currently, this is the state of my affairs in terms of consciousness, feelings. But what is important to understand that deep within ourselves, there's what we call the innate nature. We spoke a little bit about the acquired. When we speak about the innate nature, we understand that this quality of the self as a being exists in there, and there is nothing. It's the DNA of my being. It can never be eradicated. It can't be changed by anyone or transformed. So it's almost like I need to ground myself into that, really just go deep into connecting with that core. And, when we look at the core of the earth as well, we think about it, it's just a ball of fire. And so to know that when I go deep inside, it actually has something really strong that can then support me in any way I want. And so for me, I feel it's really taking steps inward. And when we step inward, what we're also doing is, they say wherever you focus your energy, you give attention to, life will grow. So if we are focusing our attention outward, we are amplifying our surroundings, which are temporary. But if I give attention to really water that seed inside of that acquired, which I've just forgotten, it's not that I'm growing it. That seed does exist, but it's just I haven't been giving it the water. And so now I'm giving it the attention, the warmth of my attention, and I'm actually allowing it then to have the power to do what it needs to do for me in my life. So I would say that's the beginning point, then whatever I'm doing externally is coming from that energy of really knowing that this way I'm working from is not changeable. It's not influenced by anyone. There's no distractions from that point. And that's a really powerful energy, actually, that can give us like the zest to live with a great, how can I say, when we think about joy, it doesn't actually have any kind of, sometimes to put things into words is a little bit,
but you can dance, you can sing.
The pure joy of something, it's like, it even brings pleasure, if I might put that word, because sometimes we associate pleasure with the senses, but this is a deeper kind of extraction of pleasure that allows me not to think it's momentary, because when I put something on my tongue, I'll have that pleasure for a few moments and then it disappears. Yeah. But joy is a little bit different. It kind of like sits with you and just is like a blanket that kind of is constantly infusing all the things that you do. But this balancing quality is the most important, because if I am all over the show, I can't culminate something. So that's why if I want to bring this joy into my life, that's the first step. And that's why it's embedded in this idea of balance.
So I'm going to draw on something that you said on the warmth of attention. And most of the times we become, I would say, imbalanced or move on to one side or the other side of the scale of our life is because of the emotions that we have. dealing with things that have happened and things that are to happen. So we're always staying in either end of it. And it also seems as if when we centered, then we're staying in the now, in that moment, and being very present. I then can look on this side and then look on the other side and still have that sense of being stable in that, which means whatever I need to do, I can action, but I won't tip myself over on either end. So this warmth of attention can also be one that becomes destructive in the sense to myself. If I look at things that have happened or things that are to happen with thoughts that are not conducive for its growth, let's just say. And I think I'm sitting in distress, I'm sitting in worry, I'm sitting in fear. And if you can expand on this, is this standing here stable or being stable in this point, in the present? What is the vision of my past and what is the vision for my future that allows me to have this stability and still stay and give light and feel as if this feeling of light has been given with this warmth that's coming through on either side?
So, when you use this word vision, immediately it took me to the idea that, when you're driving, you have the steering wheel in your hands and you have your rearview mirror and you have your side mirror and you have your rearview mirror. And the idea is that don't turn your head, just move your eyes from this way to this way. And so if you think about it, the power of that is that it'll take you just a second to just move your eyeball and to get the back vision, to get the side vision. If you start moving your head, you can actually then your steering wheel, and somebody like me, when I move my head, I move my whole body. And so it can actually create a lot of expansion. So the idea of really that stability and that warmth is, for example, when I can keep my vision very much focused that that's who I am. And so it's this insight of the being that I am. And when I stay focused on that, the idea of knowing myself is also a kind of warmth. It's when I lose myself, I can go into confusion and coldness. So anything, like even in relationships, when we get to know somebody, there's like a warmth that develops because there's a knowingness and understanding that comes. So the more time and attention I place on just acknowledging that that's me, that insight of real goodness and beauty, and in my day to be able to even kind of keep my attention that that's where I am, and then move from whichever place I need to move to. But I'm just like giving like a little sight, like the attention goes there, but I'm coming back always to this point. And that kind of stuff is very stabilizing. And the warmth I think I want to use here is the knowing. When we don't know, that's when the anxiety and the tension. So even, for example, the past, when I know that everything happens for a reason, and I accept the past with that feeling that, loss will never come to me because the very nature of my being is goodness and kindness and love. So how can what exists in a field of goodness actually bear fruits which are negative? So just that knowingness, and then knowing that if I do things currently, the law of cause and effect says that whatever you do currently will only reap good fruits. So even the anxiety of the future can disappear by just actually having this, knowing this, So this insight is a very powerful thing. And we can expand on that in many different ways. There's a whole idea of the law of karma, the law of cause and action. You can speak about Newton's third law. There's so many areas that speak about the same principle. And so whichever way you want to kind of bring it in. But I would say the important thing for us to do is that don't lose sight of yourself. And that sight of the self, which is really going to give me a center point and allow the knowingness to comfort to me, to give me that warmth, so that I also hold my attention. You know, for example, there are patients or people that do different therapies. You know, when they're with a patient, they keep the contact in conversation always to make sure that I got you. So even when you think about what's the attention that I give myself, if I place something before my own values, I'm actually disconnecting with myself. And these are little things that can actually affect us. So I want attention from other people. I want people, when I'm talking to them, that they should look at me and they should give me the attention. In the same way, can I constantly be that for me? And it's like what friends are for each other, isn't it? They just hold that beautiful space. So the first thing is that by giving myself that attention, I'm actually holding a very powerful space for my being.
Yeah. I like this idea that, when you're a friend to myself first, I am forgiving of the mistakes that I make, which allows me to come back into balance. I know everything about the self, which means warts and all. And yet I love you the same, and I don't judge you differently. And it creates an easiness in the self and a lightness in the self. So to befriend myself and to see myself in a light and easy way, to have that space. And I think we will draw in that which is the blueprint again. I like that analogy of the Supreme as the holding the blueprint for the self, and start up a friendship again, or reignite that friendship that allows us then to draw from that as well. So it's a beautiful place to be at and a space to hold, and just to see how we move from one end to the other end. Just in feeling this, it brings a lot of internal sense of motivation, even, this ability to sort of recreate and to create as well. There's not only just the self, but to step into newness and opportunities that exist for the self. And I feel again in this garden of that we're exploring of the mind, the thoughts that we allow now to be able to enter that have this type of energy that, yes, there will be things that I might get wrong. Yes, I might plant something out of season. But I might plant something that will take longer to grow. So I shouldn't become impatient, but I should never stop planting. I should never give up on the self. And that's the feeling of total balance, of understanding that please give it a chance, be brave enough to, then that's the motivation, be brave enough to step in there and take a chance on the self. So Shabin, if you want to just share further.
Talking about planting seeds, because that's really what we're working with. Do you know that bamboo, when you're planting bamboo, maybe even from seed form or sprout form, it takes years for the roots to actually embed themselves into the ground. And then you'll wake up one day and then your yard is full of bamboos and you don't know where they came from. But that's actually the power, because then they go so high and so quickly. And they so, in a way, they look delicate because they're so narrow. They're not like a big trunk. But these bamboos then can withstand the wind and all sorts of things, because their roots have actually navigated into the core in such a way that they always remain green, because they found the source of water, and they then can actually nourish themselves. So the word patience that you bring in is actually a very powerful quality. But when you think about patience, what allows one to have patience? They say patience is a virtue that can't be hurried. But what brings patience? It's actually faith. And so again, in having faith in myself, I can only have faith and trust. And you can see we're building on the qualities that we just spoke about. Mm-hmm. Now, so often when you think of the word faith, it's like either you have it or you don't. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's about that at all. It's about just becoming still. Every image that you physically have seen about faith will always be someone with their hands closed, bowing down. It's like a waiting. And if we can bring into ourselves that moment where we stop the reacting and the doing, but we can actually just become quiet. So moving from the doing into the being, that will give us a very powerful kind of footing. And especially with plants again, you know, you keep you plant your thing and then you keep seeing how the roots are growing and you keep disturbing the earth. The poor roots can't settle in, you know. And for many plants, when they in a seedling form and you repot them, you try and just cut the sand, the soil around it, so that when you make the new hole, you're not disturbing the roots that much. And so when we think about it, in the path of our journey, playing the roles we've played, we interact with such a huge variety of individuals. And as we touch people, they also touch us. And sometimes when we're not very clear in actually who I am, what they give me or they share with me, I can take to myself and begin to alter who I am. And this perhaps is the little thing that causes the hurt and the pain. Because, you know, in reality, nobody really hurts us and nobody really harms us. There's a lovely saying that goes, we use people and things to hurt ourselves. The world is offering all sorts of things. It's up to me to absorb it. So when we take away this blaming somebody, it's easy because when we're feeling weak, we would say, you are our mother, you should be doing this. You are my teacher, you should have done this. You're my friend, why didn't you do this? So it's easy to like put blame onto others. But you know, I'm then taking away my power of knowing that intrinsically, this is who I am. And so getting to know myself and then having that faith that and knowledge helps us to gain that faith. So we do some work in actually becoming somebody who gives time to me and you know, take yourself out for coffee and get to know yourself. Take a notebook out and write your feelings and find out how you really feel. Do something creative and discover your beauty. So we need to begin to, you know, give attention to the things we do. And I do feel that that little few steps that we take will go a far, far way in actually allowing that warmth for my own connecting to myself to happen.
So I like this idea of taking time out. And I feel time is this fire in which we all burn in. It was said by somebody who I can't remember right now, but he says time is the fire in which we burn. And if we use this next few moments to allow ourselves to stabilize, it gives ourselves permission to go forward. So let us step into a nice space right now. So just breathing very deeply and allowing the words that you've just heard to filter through. Give yourself permission once again to take this time out just for yourself and step inward. Everything around you is still there, but you just won't pay attention to it. Rather, you draw your thoughts and pay attention to yourself. Acknowledging this physical body, you move your attention to the very center of your forehead. and travel towards the warmth of the light that you are. This tiny point of living energy. And you give yourself the warmest of embraces ever. Just hugging and acknowledging, I am this divine being. And feel the rise of joy that ignites in every cell of your body and radiates into the atmosphere. Feeling light and being light, you move gently upwards, guided and drawn to a brighter, warmer, and secure space with the divine, the Supreme Soul, who you forged a relationship, that of Father, who you've met as your guide. And today, you explore a pure friendship. And in this friendship, you realize there's nothing you cannot share and exchange. You take a moment now to have a little conversation, stable in this point. You recognize the balance that comes to you. In this space, as you share your thoughts, you find each thought becoming refined as another viewpoint is shared with you, and you're able to see things so much more clearly. That which happened. So that's what it was. And that which is to happen. Oh, that's what I need to do. With a deep sense of motivation that sinks to a place where you feel the metabolism of your very being shifting. You are energized. Just stay still while you view that which has happened and that which is to happen. And joy again overflows, unlimited, unrestricted, The boundary that you put vanishes, and time becomes fluid with you. And you etch very deeply within yourself. Where my thoughts go, energy flows. And where energy flows, life grows. And from this vantage point, you allow yourself to gently settle back, holding this beautiful warmth and a genuine kindness for the self. You feel the balance having been reset. You can take your steps forward. Om Shanti. Thank you.
Joy is embedded in balance. Today, I consciously take steps to align myself to the inner stable point, the living light that I am, residing within this physical body. This awareness ignites the fires of joy, freeing me from the pain of the past, the anxiety of the future. I stand stable in the now as I observe with joy all aspects of my life aligned to this point of balance. So Om Shanti, and have a beautiful day. And today, as your eyes rest on the color yellow, pause and enjoy that living light inside of you and appreciate and trust and value the self. Om Shanti. Take care.
Thank you.